Hi, my name is Matt Goff, and one of the requests was for me to include some work product. Now, I'm an adjunct teacher from Quad Community College. I teach business courses and usually computer application courses for business. And since the Angel Learning Management System we use is a closed system, I decided to take you kind of on a virtual tour of a course that I design and I also teach. The course shell does not have any students loaded into it, so there's no worry about any FERPA violations. This particular class is called Computers in Business. This class is primarily teaches Microsoft Office applications. The emphasis is on integration of all the applications. So the projects start out with a single application and then start to integrate as the students learn or start to learn more applications. They integrate those applications into more of the projects. Now, it's meant to be a second computer course for business and paralegal students, so the level is considered intermediate to advanced. It's advanced enough that the Mac version of Microsoft Office is insufficient for students to be able to be successful in the course, but it's not so advanced that they're trying to produce videos using PowerPoint or high-end statistics using Excel. When I normally start a class, when I start designing a class, I really try to consider what the course is for. I try to use technology responsibly. Just because I have technology to use, like blogs, wikis, different forums, different types of internet and multimedia and such, doesn't necessarily mean I need to use it. So I try to be purposeful when I'm designing a course. This particular course doesn't have any exams or quizzes, so I don't have any self-grading or anything like that going on. This one has a midterm paper, has 24 projects that's covered in 9 weeks. Along with the midterm paper, it has a very large 6-week group project that the groups of 5 work on throughout the last part of the term. As you can see here, this is actually the introduction page or the course page for Angel. I usually support any announcement that I make with email. Email allows me to reach out and to the students, and also when I have the announcements correspond with the emails, it allows one central location for the students to go back and find any announcements, any important announcements. Also, this particular announcement doesn't have any video in it, but I generally support most major announcements in the course with video using either Camtasia and a camcorder or just with audio alone using the Audacity software. Of course, I put my course syllabus right up front so students have access to that. And this is a modular LMS, very similar to Blackboard, so they're able to see email and access the syllabus and announcements right off the first time they log into the course. When it comes to giving the students information, I give them a general introduction to the course, as well as usually any type of introduction like that. I follow up with video of myself explaining the same information that's available in text. If I have students who are deaf, which I haven't had yet, I also support the video using, of course, I use Camtasia, so I support the video using captioning, just to make sure that I take care of any, Section 508, any ADA compliance issues with that. This particular course, I also like to give students an idea, kind of a personal touch. So I show them basically a picture of myself. In some of my courses, I actually give a short bio. This particular course, I don't, because I save my bio for the introduction icebreaker that I use the first week's forum for. I tell them about myself. I also have them do a small quiz based on their knowledge of computers, and it helps everybody kind of relate, and it helps to build kind of a sense of community with an online class. I believe that's very important. I I also include links and information as to how email works, how to contact the instructor, information on netiquette, basically how they are to correspond with each other and act respectful to each other. I also give an example in this class because they're using Microsoft Office applications. The book itself has a companion site, so I give them kind of a graphic tutorial or a depiction of how to upload and get access to those files as well. And I also talk about what version of Office they need to have, which is the latest version, whether they're going to be using a camcorder, the type of technical information that they need, as well as hardware like the webcam, as well as having high-speed internet access for them to be successful in the class. I usually also put in a page that has the assignments by week. Quad Community College teaches on a term basis, 10-week terms, or 11 weeks if you consider that. Consider finals week a week. And so I lay out every course and the dates when things are due in that section. I don't tend to use the calendar section, but I have in other courses. It just depends on the style of course and what is being taught and the level of the students also. These particular students happen to be a little higher level students. I also provide information on how I'm going to grade. This particular course has a forum, discussion forum, and I use this one. I am actually using a text-based expectations page rather than a rubric. Although the bottom down here you can see that for the homework I use a rubric. Also for this class I have weekly folders, and for each week when they open it up, the first thing they see are the course objectives, and then also a discussion about what they will be doing in the course for that week, what reading they have, and the homework that is due. Of course, all computer books have flaws in them, and because they're published so fast before any of the bugs can be worked out, so in this particular course I have little spots here that actually explain or get around some of the trouble areas that are given to the students in the books. I think it's prudent for an instructor to make sure that the assignments actually work before you actually assign them. And most of the assignments in this course, half the assignments I'm supporting with video screencasts, and it's just to get them over some rough patches. This course, this week that I selected, looks like they have to create a pivot table, and also looks like they're using a lookup table to do a weighted gradebook. So I'm including a video on how to do both of those tasks just to get them over the little bit of a rough patch if they're having problems. Along with this project or this class, I also am giving them a midterm paper. So I lay out in a separate folder the expectations, explain the midterm paper, the requirements. I also support it with a video telling them the same information that's up here. And I also provide them a rubric so it's easy for them to tell how they're going to be assessed. In addition to that, I also provide the students, I've gotten permission from some of my top students to use their papers as examples. I think it's helpful for students to be able to see an example from one of their peers, and helps them gather ideas and collect thoughts and be able to put them back down on paper. The final group project in this course I'm fairly proud of. For one reason is the amount of response, the quality of response I've gotten from it. This project, I lay it out just like I did with the final or with the midterm paper. I put out a video that explains all the information that's along here. This group project will be groups of 5 that I choose the students based on their performance and their skill sets. But they do things like pick who's going to do which task. They're going to choose who the leader is if they choose a leader. They're supposed to provide me a proposal, status reports. In here I list the requirements for the project. They do a paper and a presentation, how many points things are worth. I also give them an opportunity to do a little self-grading of their peers for participation, and give them an opportunity to reflect. I think it's very important for students to be able to reflect back on their own learning. And of course, I give them some supportive links as well as grading rubrics for the presentation and the paper. To help them organize and communicate, I also provide each group, when they're assigned, a separate forum for them to interact with and use. They can share documents. I've gotten good responses out of these because out of a 5 to 6 week project, often I get well over 200 posts with the students corresponding back and forth. I also have them use Illuminate Live. Previously it was called Blackboard Collaborate, and allows them to do live chat sessions back and forth. Many of the teams or groups use this quite often and have found success with it. I personally use Illuminate sometimes to tutor students who might be having trouble trying to get through rough patches, and I'll log in with them, set up a time, we'll share the screen and work through some of the tough or difficult concepts in the class. I try to be careful about making this a requirement because I like to give I'd like to respect online students' ability to log in when they want to, and the online student kind of has the freedom that they don't have to go to class, drive to the campus and do class. I kind of like to make sure that they have the ample time or freedom to not, I try not to constrain them to specific times during the week. Also, like I had said before, I have forums for this particular course. I'm not opposed to using wikis. I'm not opposed to using any type of a blog or anything like that. I think those are really appropriate for some other classes. In fact, another class I use a blog and a wiki. This particular course uses the discussion forum, and nice enough that the publisher itself has a weekly newscast podcast that talks about recent technology events. So the students actually go out and pick 3 of the, say, dozen or so topics and discuss those. And I found this to be very successful. Most of the students, when you set out expectations of, say, 3 posts per week or whatever, when they're doing this particular activity, I'm getting 5, 6, 7, sometimes 10 posts from some of the students per week. So I found it to be very, very successful. Anyway, I don't have a lot of time with YouTube. I think I'm limited to 15 minutes. That's kind of a general idea of what my courses look like. The one thing that's missing out of my courses lately have been graphics. I've started to, as I'm learning how to create graphics using fireworks out of the CS5 suite, I'm starting to integrate more instructional graphics that have some meaning for the students. I'm also trying to use graphics that help them relate to the material and kind of work in from their previous and past experiences, help them relate to the actual course material a little bit better. Like I said, this particular course is a little stark, but my other courses and this one will be getting some upgrades here shortly. One of the things I do as an instructor is constantly look at the feedback from the students and constantly look at ways to improve and either do some trimming or adding to courses to make them a lot better for the students. And I think that each course shouldn't be a static entity. It should be really a live document or a live set of instruction. So that's about it. I thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.